What's up, travelers? You have found the podcast that is here to explore the world. We are 5 travel experts, hooked on our trade, and ready to share our tales from around the world. You're listening to the Where We Roam podcast. Without further ado, let's roam. Well, hello, roamers, and welcome to this week's episode of the Where We Roam podcast. My name is John, and we have the whole crew here today. Hello, Dana, Sean, and Megan. How's it going?
Good. Good morning, John.
Doing well.
Hello. I'm doing okay. I guess we're doing good. I've got a kid home sick from school on week 3 of school.
Geez.
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the parents. This is my PSA or my soapbox. You can pick whatever it is. Please,
Here we go.
Do not send your kids sick to school just because you have nothing else to do with them. Like if they have a fever or a severe illness and serious illness, don't send them to school because it just gives it to everybody else.
Yeah, agree.
Anyway, that's for me and my
PSA by
pediatrician
John.
wife. Stop. Have
Yeah.
you guys remember that SNL skit where the guy just goes stop like over and over, like when people stop, like that's like his professional advice. Anyway, that's my rant.
Anyway.
Now you guys know where I'm at in headspace. So
Yeah.
y'all look good though. Y'all look like you were
That does-
rested and
yeah,
doing well.
That clarifies a bit for John's potential edgy mood.
Sassiness today.
A little sass, right?
What
This
is
is
the
also
source
the
of John's sassiness today?
This
Today's
week, what is it
episode.
today?
John's
and also
sassiness is brought to you by his kid being homesick from school.
the letter
3 straight
C.
weeks.
OV. No. This is only the first time he's been home. It's just only the 3rd week of school, and he's already missing school because he's sick.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because you send your gross children to school sick. Anyway, everybody else's kids are gross. Mine are fine, but
Right, exactly.
honestly, other people's kids, the older I get, kind of start grossing me out with like the boogers running out of their face and stuff. I'm like, man, it's gross.
geez.
Get it together.
Oh,
Not
geez.
demure or
Right?
cutesy.
There it is. It's not demure or cutesy. You know I'm old and uncool because I have been so perplexed about what demure means for the last several days. I had to like Google it. It's so ridiculous. And then I finally heard the audio over another video about like not wearing cat eye eyeliner
You need
or
to
whatever.
see the original video. It's really,
Okay.
really good. It's really
And she's
good.
like
I'll
just
try to
giving
send it to
people
you.
like a lesson on how to be professional at work. Is that kind of
she's
what
just
it is?
saying like, however you come to the job interview is how you need to come to work. Don't come unprofessional. Be very
There you go.
demure, very cutesy.
Got it.
What are we talking about today, guys?
Well, this is our cold open. We're, just
sure
having
is.
fun here. Oh, my goodness. Well, today's episode is going to be a repeat for us. First time for our listeners because we had technical difficulties last time. Another reason I'm in a place today. But we're going to be doing this
Yeah.
episode. I'm actually really excited about the content of what we're talking about. Maybe just not the fact that we're doing it a second time. That being said, today we're going to be talking all things Universal Epic Universe.
Uh-huh.
We're going to kind of do an overview of all the news, all the attractions. We now have all the information about all of the lands. We have some information about opening dates for some things, and we also have information about the way the new ticketing system works. So that being
this is
said,
good news because we didn't have Harry Potter news the first time we tried to record this episode.
correct. That's true too, because they announced that like 3 days after we recorded, which is very typical.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
now that we're recording this, in a couple days we'll drop it, and then I promise you, the day after that, you all will be listening, and they'll say, "Oh, Harry Potter
Opening date. Yeah.
the new opening
Yeah,
date's
maybe
coming
Maybe we'll
out."
get an opening date. That
I
would be
hope so.
exciting.
Yeah. So that being said, real quick, Sean, you want to tell us all the new resorts that are coming?
Yeah. So we have several new resorts. In addition to that, we've got some simplified resort categories. So we used to have 4 different.
Kind of complicating.
Kind of simplified. There's only 3 resort categories now.
Right, but they're
So
still okay. But yes, go ahead. We'll talk
so
about it.
let's start at the bottom. As most people know, we used to have dockside and surfside. Those were our prime value resorts.
No value.
No, value resorts.
Yeah,
sorry.
prime value
The-
used to be
the
something
cheapest
different.
resorts
So
you could get
confusing.
was dockside and surfside. Now
Right.
what they've done is they've taken Cabana Bay and they've lumped it down into that lower category, which is a little bit, I think it's surprising to all of us that they did that, because Aventura and Cabana used to be together in prime value, right? Is what that was.
Right.
Anyway, So Cabana, Dockside, Surfside are all value options. Now we've got Terra Luna and Stella Nova being lumped together with Aventura in the new prime value category. And
Correct.
now our third category includes Sapphire Falls, which it didn't used to. It includes Helios, which is the new hotel that is, it's right there in the park in Epic
It has
Universe,
its
which is going to
private
be
entrance.
awesome.
Yeah.
Private entrance. And then we have our 3 legacy resorts, Portofino Bay, Hard Rock, and Royal Pacific. What is interesting on this is only the 3 legacy resorts will retain their express pass service.
Right.
That is complimentary. Sapphire Falls and Helios will not get that in-park benefit, even though they are in the exact same category. So that's kind of interesting. I understand why they did it with Helios. I don't think they're going to have any issues selling that resort, but
Right.
it's interesting, right?
Yeah. I wasn't expecting that at all.
I get
No,
it.
it's kind
They
of a
don't want to
shocker.
give it out
Yeah,
to too
they would
many
lump
different
that one in with
resorts.
the
If
other,
you give it out to
with
too
Portofino,
many,
Hard Rock,
it
and Royal
becomes less
Pacific.
valuable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true, except that they just created like an entire new theme park of
Mhm.
inventory for Express Pass. So it's like, why couldn't they just add? I don't think they'd be diluting the by giving it away to Helios. I don't think they'd be diluting anything. But I understand Sean's argument that they didn't have to in order to fill
Right.
up Helios.
And they may
And
change
I
it.
think
Yeah,
I do think it keeps those 3 legacy resorts, it keeps their value high. Because
Yeah.
as
Yes.
long as we expect there to be Express Pass in Epic Universe, and as
Mhm.
long as it's the same as the other 2 parks, if you're staying at those resorts, which likely are going to have a little bit of, would have had a diminished appeal if Helios did have Express Pass. I think they're keeping that demand high, and I think that's a smart move, actually.
right.
Mhm.
So one thing I think we should notice that Helios is expected to open in sometime in 2025. We're not sure when. That'll probably open, if we had to guess, with
And the park
the actual
does.
park.
Mm.
That being said, Stella Nova has an opening date of January 21st. It's already bookable. And Terra Luna has an opening date scheduled for February 25th. So they are doing a staggered opening. When they first announced that January 21st and February 25th, I think the 4 of us all expected to hear some news by now that sometime around spring break or after spring break, we'd be getting an opening for Helios and the theme
Mhm.
park. But there's been some rumors that they're looking at late fall, maybe, or late summer with a phased opening, one land not opening with the park on day one. That's
Really?
yeah, Jim Hill and Len Testa were reporting that a week or 2 ago.
Mm.
So they may open this without one of the lands. Which land that is, I don't know. Guess it's most likely not going to be. I promise you, it's not going to be the ones that you really want to go to.
Yeah.
Like it'll
Probably
be.
Super Nintendo, honestly.
I think it would be either Harry Potter or Darkmoor or Nintendo.
Yeah.
You know, it won't be
My guess was
Celestial
going to be
Park.
Potter.
Yeah, that's my guess if it's not ready yet, because
Yeah.
we'll see.
Especially since it's the last one they announced too.
Right.
Less details.
That's true.
And when we talk about the lands in a minute, we can talk about the changes that they made in like as far as like what the ride is going to actually be versus what the land is themed to, and how that's kind of strange what they're doing. So we don't know the opening date for the theme park yet. That being said, is there anything else? Oh, there is one note I wanted to make, that there is a difference when you're booking Stella Nova and Terra Luna. That Stella Nova has a walking path to the park, where Terra Luna does not. So if you're trying to figure out which resort you want to book, one has a direct walking path. So kind of think of it as maybe like a walking path from Portofino. It's a little bit further, but it still has a walking path.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a good option.
Yeah. So
But same
that
price point.
yeah, they're both similarly priced. They are definitely priced a little bit higher than Dockside and Surfside, though, but that makes sense because those resorts are kind of like out there in the middle of nothing by themselves. Do you guys want to go ahead and move on to the actual park?
Yeah, let's do it.
I do.
Sweet. Okay. So there are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new lands. Am I counting that correctly? Is that right?
Well,
5 new lands. 5 new lands
5
on
new
day
lands.
1. Yes. Okay. So we're all going to go over this. We're going to go ahead and start. And I'll do the first one because it's when you first walk in the park. And then we'll kind of maybe go around the entire place. And then we'll end with Harry Potter. So the very first one, when you first walk in, kind of think Main Street USA, except this is going to actually have like rides on Main Street USA. And it's going to have a hub. Like this land is the hub itself. And that is going to be Celestial Park. And Celestial Park is going to be this really beautiful park themed area. And this is where you're going to have all of the portals that are going to take you to the other lands. So if you want to go from, say you want to go from Isle of Berk, which is like the How to Train a Dragon session, to Super Nintendo, you need to exit through the portal, walk across Celestial Park, and to get over into another portal to get into Super Nintendo.
John,
go ahead.
Or any of us, do we think that there will be any connecting options other than the main entrance and exit portal between
I don't
lands?
think so.
They've not said that they have, and they've also designed these that they can close them off for private events.
That's right. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Because if it models Hollywood and it's Super Nintendo, there's one way in, one way out.
Yeah,
So
but that's going to be a different layout. But you're right. If like the flow is the same when you get in, yeah.
Correct.
That's true. So really the biggest difference between Celestial Park and other like, main streets or other like main hub and spoke designs of theme parks is that they actually have a ton of like activities, rides, things to do in this area. So one is they're going to have one of the like top-notch roller coasters in the whole park. It's called Stardust Racers. And it is a dual launch racing coaster that hurls you across the cosmos. So this actually looks like a beautiful ride. It's got that like, at least the artwork, it's like themed to like kind of like a 1950s idea or 1960s idea of like what the sci-fi view of like the interstellar look might be. It's super, super pretty with some chrome touches, yellows. I think this could be really fun. They're going to have that ride there, which is going to be an e-ticket. They're also going to have a whirl and twirl across the star on the Constellation Carousel. Sorry, it's not. I thought it was a whirl and twirl, which reminds me of the one over in the Simpsons area. What is that called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it
whirl and hurl? No,
whirl and hurl.
Hurl.
Yeah.
Yeah, or twirl. Right. Yeah.
That sounds very Simpson-y.
Yeah, exactly. So this is going to be called the Constellation Carousel. There's some unique things about it that's different as far as like the design of the things that you're riding on, but it is an absolutely gorgeous, beautiful carousel, something completely new. Additionally, they're going to have, as far as dining, they're going to have a fine dining restaurant in the Atlantic. Oh goodness, dining. I think it was originally called Atlantic Dining Hall, but I think now it's just called the Atlantic. And in addition to that, one of the things that I love that they're doing, and I want to get your opinions on this, and for those of you who've been to Hollywood, this may make sense. They have added shops, like stores to buy merch outside of the lands in Celestial Park. So like, for example, with Super Nintendo World, like if you want to go in and get your Nintendo merch, you don't have to fight the crowds to go in just to shop. And I think that's really, really good. That'll help with crowd control. Like, so if you've already been to Super Nintendo World, you've already ridden the rides, and then but you didn't want to carry your stuff around all day, there's a place for you to go in, buy your plush that you can take home with you, and you don't have to like go through the portal and fight the lines and everything back there.
I do think I like that. We always tell our daughter we give her a specific amount of souvenir money, and she hesitates to buy something early. And it's always that like, okay, if we wait till the last minute, we got to trek all the way back into that land. Got to make sure we don't miss out. It will be nice to have some of those options at the front of the park.
Yeah, but Julie needs to know that that's not a bad idea either, because there's the flip side of that. On a 5-day trip, my youngest wants to spend all of his money that he is allowed to, on day one on the first stupid bubble wand he sees.
Yeah.
So we have had to work with him about maybe having a little more of a Julie attitude to let's wait and see, because there's going to be something else you want a lot. That being said, there's going to be another restaurant. It's going to be a Blue Dragon Pan-Asian restaurant. I don't know how this fits the Celestial Park theme, but it's there. So we'll see. So I guess it doesn't fit anywhere else.
I like the Atlantic one because that looks like it's open air.
Yes.
It looks really, really nice.
Oh, I've heard it's all glass. It's tall glass.
Oh, is it all glass?
Oh,
Yeah.
so
it keeps it is. So it's supposed to be, it looks like 3 stories of glass. So we'll see how it actually looks in real life.
I
Yeah, I
wouldn't
was
have
looking at
expected
that.
that.
Which would actually be really nice because as much as I love open air in the summertime in Orlando, I don't know that I
True.
want to eat open air.
You need that
Yeah.
AC.
It's hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that being said, let's move on to Super Nintendo World.
Let's do it. So
right,
I've
Megan.
been to Universal Hollywood. Absolutely love Super Nintendo World over there. I mean, us 80s and 90s kids, you just walk into Super Nintendo World and you are immersed in that video game that we all grew up with. Not that there's not like Super Mario around these days, and excuse my Jersey accent with the Mario versus Mario, but
It's a
I
Mario.
remember that
It's so-
from the first time we recorded. I remember that now.
Yep.
Mario.
Can you see me turning bright red right now?
You're good.
So it's just so fun and immersive when you walk in there. I don't even have to go on the
Yeah.
rides. I just love standing there, seeing the characters. Just the whole vibe in there is so much fun. So it's going to be even bigger over in Orlando. So I'm very excited
Right.
about that. Kids are super excited about that. So from Super Mario to Bowser's Challenge to Donkey Kong Country, there's so much for everybody. I guess the first ride I'll talk about is Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge. So this is the one that's also in Universal Hollywood. Super fun. You wear the goggles, you wear the helmet, you feel immersed. You're throwing shells, collecting coins, all the things. So you're in the video game with that one. It's very fun.
Way to describe the goggles real quick is augmented reality. If anybody's done an because you can see through them, but it puts things up
Yeah.
in front of you, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like an augmented reality experience while you're driving it or riding on a go-kart. You're not really driving
Right.
it, correct?
You're not
You follow
really
the
driving
track.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Continue on. Sorry.
So then moving on to Donkey Kong Country, there's Minecart Madness. So this is going to be more family friendly. I think the height requirement is you must be 36 inches tall. But anyone under 48 inches would need to ride with an adult. But it'll be very family
That's
friendly
still
coaster.
great.
It is great. And I think Universal needs more of these rides because there's so many rides that require 48 inches. So this will be a nice addition for the whole family.
Well, and what I love about this is that it simulates the track jumping that you would experience when you played the video game when we were kids,
Yeah.
the Donkey Kong
How
Country.
cool is that?
That's really
And it's so cool. It's like you're not actually the vehicle you're on is not actually on the track that you think you're on. It's like there's an arm
Right.
that you're actually on a track 10 feet below you. And that is just, to me, that's
An
the
illusion.
coolest.
Yeah.
But it's such a
Yeah.
fun way to do it, you know?
Mhm.
So I'm excited about the track jumping more than anything else.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Definitely.
Me too.
And then
So
do you have
up
info
next
on
is-
the third ride?
I do. So it's Yoshi's
Okay.
Adventure. So this one, you would join Yoshi and search for glowing eggs as you travel through Mushroom Kingdom landscapes in an enchanting family-friendly ride again. So another family-friendly ride makes perfect sense in this land because it is Super Nintendo World. So I think it will again be very fun. Probably similar to Minions and stuff like that, where you're standing going through and just enjoying the ride together, the family.
So this
you'll
one
also
is
get-
an omni mover. Is from what I've read.
Mhm.
Okay.
So it's constantly moving. So I would say think Haunted Mansion, but the characters go outside as well. At least that's the layout in Tokyo.
I like it. And then from there, of course, there's going to be some meet and greets. So, Princess Peach, Mario, Luigi, Toad, all that fun stuff. So come and meet your favorite characters, get those autographs. I think the kids will love this place.
It's going to
Are
be
they going
such
to do
a
the
great
power up
addition.
bands? Sorry, go ahead, Sean.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, going out to California to see this, I know that's a trek for many when, most of Universal is hyped up down in Orlando. It's going to be a great addition to get Super Mario down here.
Big time.
But yeah, Dana, I
They're also
would
gonna
say they're
have-
probably going to do the power
Think
bands,
so?
right?
Yeah. I wasn't
I'm
sure
sure
how
they will.
successful that idea was in Hollywood. Like if it took off, because I know it's an added expense to buy the band. Is there a benefit to doing it and interacting with it? I know it's supposed to help you in Bowser's Challenge, I believe. So I just wasn't curious how that all landed or any feedback that people gave from the California version.
You think they
of the-
I've
they
had a
tried
bunch
to
of clients go to
mirror? You think they tried to
Yeah.
California Adventure?
That's kind of the vibe I got
Like
from it.
power
but-
ups with it? I didn't know that it did that. I knew that it was interactive, like using your wand in the Wizarding World, that you could make things move, or you can get points by like punching
Yes.
the boxes and stuff. But
Right. I mean, you can
I don't know,
write about
yeah.
the You can ride it without the power-up band, but I remember them saying like, oh, if you have the power-up band and you've earned like these things through the land, then it benefits your ride experience in some way.
What were your clients saying, Megan?
They've all really enjoyed purchasing them. So, I mean, many will say, it's an added expense. We didn't do it. But the ones that did purchase it and told me about it, their kids really enjoyed having them and stayed in the land for hours and played and collected coins and did whatever.
Okay, I like that.
No, it does sound like a lot of fun. I think they'll do it. I think they'll do it. Yeah. But go ahead.
I bet they will, especially because the land's going to be that much bigger here.
And it's something else to sell. Think how much money they make off of selling wands. Like it may not be at that extreme, but it's going to be a lot of money.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody will do it at least once.
Yeah.
So lastly, Toadstool Cafe will also be coming to Universal Orlando, similar to Universal Hollywood. It's super cute. I've eaten in there in Hollywood. Like the meals are, I had a burger and on top of it was a tomato with little circles of mozzarella. So it looked like a toadstool on top of the burger.
Oh, that's cute.
So it's themed, it's fun, it's cute. It adds to the whole experience.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm on the website right now, and it totally lists all the power-up bands as like right underneath all the attractions. So yes, 100% they're bringing it. Yeah, it's a I don't want to say it's a money grab because I think it's a fun idea, but they don't want to leave money on the table by not doing it.
I'm okay calling it a money grab. It is like so what, right?
Well, yeah, yes. Well, that's like the joke. If they can find something that people want to latch onto and like are obsessed with and get to be able to do an interactive thing, or for example, apparently the entire initial Hogwarts expansion at Islands of Adventure was paid for just by Butterbeer sales alone in the first couple years.
Right. Yeah, I heard that.
So,
I'm not surprised.
You think about that. Like, so if they have this revenue stream that could help offset the cost of a new land, why not? Right? Mm-hmm. It makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't blame them.
Yeah,
very cool.
This isn't going to be Butterbeer, let's be honest. But
No.
Well,
I understand
is.
the thought process behind it.
Yeah.
Right. I agree. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to keep moving. We're going to talk about the Universal Monsters. So, Sean, will you tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm particularly excited about this one. I think Dark Universe is going to be such a fun new land. I think they kind of got ahead of Disney on the whole Villains Land concept. I love the fact that Universal has this old school IP that really it gets underutilized in the current parks. The only real thing is maybe a Halloween Horror Nights house, but then it's just the makeup thing. So I love the fact that they're introducing these old classic characters into their own land. They're bringing in Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, Mummy, Phantom of the Opera, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Dracula's Bride, all this stuff. I just think it's going to be a lot of fun. Starting off with 2 rides, I think that's where it's likely going to stay. I don't know if we've heard anything beyond that, but we have a family-friendly ride, Curse of the Werewolf, or the more family-friendly ride, as John would say. So it's just, taking riders through a forest being pursued by werewolves. So I'm sure that's going to be pretty fun.
I like that.
I love how you say family-friendly, but the images look
terrifying
scary for kids.
It's like, I get scared riding dinosaur or, when, on Everest and you're going right by the Yeti, I'm like, and like, this looks like a bigger scare than Yeti.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And they say this is family friendly.
I guess we always go back to saying Universal is a little bit more advanced in terms of age range than what Disney is. So what their family friendly is probably more catered to that 9+ crowd.
Yeah.
I guess I wouldn't think about putting a 6-year-old on
Well,
it.
they did say very specifically that this land, they're giving themselves some leeway to be PG-13. And I think that's a PG-13 family-friendly ride is maybe the thrill of like the actual, you're not going upside down and you're not doing Velocicoaster inversions and all like those things where you feel like you're going to fall out in the lake, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to be creepy like the rest of the land.
Yeah. Maybe like an easier ride. Like maybe that's just their way of classifying it as a ride that is not so strenuous, or like you
Right.
don't have to have a heart condition to
Yeah.
not ride it.
And
then
someone took a picture of this ride and posted it recently. It may have been, they're running tests with it. It may have been by, what is her name or his name? The BioReconstruct on
Right.
Twitter. And they had some drone footage of it. And it looks from just the still pictures to not be as intentional spinning as, what is the ride? Disney Guardians. As Cosmic Rewind, where it intentionally turns you where it wants you to
Give you a
see.
little extra
I think
G
this
as
is
well.
just like, I think this is like you spin based on the weight in your car and the turn of the track, if that makes sense. A little more free spinning, less intentional.
Yeah.
Anyway, continue on, Sean.
Yeah, so the other ride is called Monsters Unchained, a Frankenstein experiment, and this is apparently following along with who is it? With Victoria,
Dr.
Frankenstein,
Victoria, Victor's great granddaughter, or something.
I remember that. What was that? It's like the great granddaughter of
Victor Frankenstein.
Right.
Dr.
But yeah,
Frankenstein.
she's trying
Dr. Frankenstein.
to control these monsters, and this is where we're going to see a big cast of those classic monsters. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I do really like the portal vibe of going from one, like, how do you get from Celestial Park into these lands without like having some?
And this one is like
portal type.
The electricity is going to look like, so as we all know, we think of like the electricity and Frankenstein, but apparently the entire land has these electricity things running through it. So like you're walking through at night and it looks like things have currents. Thank you. Going through it. And it's going to be going up and down the portal when you first walk through and throughout this ride and through the castle. It's supposed to be very cool.
That's cool.
Very immersive.
Very immersive. My only trepidation about this ride is that it's the martini shaker ride system. It's going to be it's the Forbidden
worst.
Journeys. It is the worst, but they're utilizing the Forbidden Journeys, like not Omnimover, but like the arm that you're being moved around in.
Yeah. Maybe they've
less screens is what I've heard. Less screens.
That's good. That'll help.
Maybe maybe less herky jerky. I don't know. All the screens make me so sick on that ride.
Yeah.
And then I don't love that. But I can do this at least once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one other thing that I found interesting, and I know right as we just talked about maybe this being a little bit more grown up,
then they go back to something that's not super grown up. Well, I guess
they're
Disney adults eat this up. Go ahead.
The answer to Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique over at Disney is they're giving people the option to be dressed up like monsters.
Monsters,
so
right.
I think that'll be really cool. They're trying to make this as engulfed as possible. Like when you enter the land, it just feels like that's where you are. Now, what do you do when you leave the land dressed up like a monster? I don't know.
That's my question. I mean, I love it. I think it's fun. But the second you go over to Super Mario Land, like
you're dressed up like Dracula.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's interesting. I mean, then again, you've got little princesses running around Space Mountain. What do those two things have in common? I will say this though,
Not
Sean,
much.
and I think this, I know exactly. I will say this, in the artwork that they've released, the person in the foreground and then one of the people in the background are grown people getting these makeovers. I think, which Bippity Boppity Boutique does not. Can you even do Bippity Boppity Boutique as an adult?
No, 12 is the cutoff.
12 and under?
Cutoff.
Cap.
Yeah, okay.
I think that this may be a very popular thing with like those Disney adult crowd that are
Those
willing to
people who
throw
are wearing
money
the
at fun
Harry
experiences.
Potter
Robes. Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about Halloween Horror Nights, like setting an appointment to have that done a couple of hours before Halloween Horror Nights. I think it's going to be a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, that way you don't have to think about what you're going to wear, what you're going to bring.
That's
you can
good.
just.
That's good thinking right there, actually.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think
you're going to be looking
the makeup
like,
idea is fun.
You're going to be looking like 30 other people in the park at that point.
Who cares? Who cares?
Yeah, it's dark and nobody, this is part of the experience.
Yeah. Also, can I just say that the way that they're doing their restaurant is freaking hilarious. It's called Das Steakhouse, but steak is spelt like a steak that goes through the heart. and it's supposed to be ran by the vampire's familiars. And if you're know what a vampire familiar is, it's like a non-magical, like a regular human that
what's the show?
What we do in the shadows. My God, yes, that's what it is.
So yeah,
it's my absolute favorite. But like the idea of is that they would maybe be trying to find dinner, not only serving you dinner, but maybe also finding dinner looking for dinner for their masters.
Yeah,
that's a fun concept.
Yeah.
I love it. I think that there's so many great things, and we'll do a whole show on it when we finally experience these lands. But they look phenomenal to me.
Dark
All right,
Universe. I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I agree.
As do I. All right, we got 2 more to go, and then we'll go ahead and move on to wrap this up. But let's move over to Isle of Burke, and our biggest How to Train a Dragon fan, Dana, is going to go over How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Burke.
I may not be the most qualified person to talk about this. My children love How to Train Your Dragon. They are obsessed with it. They're really excited about this land. I was like, really? Okay. So I'm trying to get into it for them. But actually, diving in, it looks really cool. It's going to have a very Viking dragon type feel, rocky cliffs, dragon houses, mountains. It's going to be done really well, I think.
It looks good.
Yeah, and even the colors are vibrant, so I feel like it's gonna be nice. But it is gonna have, if you are a How to Train Your Dragon fan, it's gonna follow the storyline between the second and the third films. Like I said, it is Isle of Burke, so it will be the largest world in Epic Universe. By the way, I guess
interesting. I didn't know it was the largest. Makes sense. They have 3 attractions, but go ahead.
Yeah, and big attractions too, not just like little small ones. So it's going to be the largest in Epic, and it's modeled after the 8th century Viking village. So they have a few rides, as John mentioned. Hiccup's Wing Gliders is going to be a soaring coaster. I haven't seen the height restrictions on this, but I feel like it's a family.
It looks like a family-friendly roller coaster for sure.
Yes, and it uses the word coaster, so I'm always a little hesitant to say it's family-friendly or not. But
so it's 40 inches minimum height, 48 without an adult.
Okay, so it's a little taller restrictions than some of the other ones, but it's going to be a winged flying machine. It launches dragon riders into the sky for a dragon's eye view of Burke. So it's going to have some height to it, so that'll be, kind of nice. So not completely tame, but maybe kind of a medium level coaster for kids. And then the next one is going to be the Racers Rally, which looks to be, I can't really think of the right. It is an arm ride.
It's like 2 arms.
It's 2 arms, but they're independent vehicles on each arm. So I'm trying to figure out if each vehicle is going to move independently or if the whole row is going to move independently.
I think
it looks like a circle.
I think they move together, but then you can control the spinning based on how you turn the wings.
Okay. It's going to be interesting to see.
And that is 48-inch height requirement. So that is, even though you'd think that's going to be more of a kid ride.
Yeah, because it looks like a kid ride. It's not. So
it is. 48 inches is like most 10-year-olds,
not like
right?
A little like 5 or 6-year-old.
Yeah.
High thrill flying like attraction.
Rock and roll.
Oh yeah, my 8-year-old. Yeah.
Well,
that's 50.
Kayla was 6 when she turned 48 inches.
Yeah, Mati was 7.
Okay.
And Mati is short, so.
Okay. So maybe I'm underestimating that, but we'll see. I mean, it's interesting to see how aggressive those barrels rolls are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think it's a nice concept. I think the technology will be really good on this, and hopefully it's smooth and it's, not crazy. The last one is a water ride, which is the only one in Epic, Fire Drill. And if you've been to Legoland, it's very similar to that one. So everyone kind of stands in a boat that has water launchers on it. Each person stands at a water launcher, and it goes through like a little river area, but there's water coming at you, and then you can shoot the water as well. And if it's anything like the one in Legoland, be prepared to be soaked to the bone. Like, this is a ride where you wear flip-flops, you wear a bathing suit, top. I mean, dry fit material is no joke. it is legit. You're going to be soaking wet. And looking at the renderings, it gives off a lot of water vibes to me.
Well, if you look at, like, there's like 2 images on their website about this. The first one looks just like a close up of the boat and people shooting, but then if they do you look at the aerial footage or aerial artwork, there is so much water happening in every freaking corner.
Yes.
I don't see how you. That being said, it's so interesting that this is the route they took for a water ride for the park.
I like it though, because
there's no
it is
height
a lot
requirement.
Of fun. Yeah,
like,
no, because you're standing.
Yeah,
You're just standing. But I do like it because it says that it has a scoring aspect to it as well, and I'm very competitive, so I'm all about trying to outscore people. So it says that you're going to outscore and outsoak each other with trying to hit over 130 moving targets found throughout the location. So I can see like lots of hidden targets. You want to try to find those. I'm sure some are worth more points. It's going to be interesting to see how they do it.
With this land having the sole water ride, I understand why it is the largest land, because you can't build that tall. Right. You just have surface area. So that makes sense.
And then there's also a 4th attraction here in this park. Do you want to talk about that?
The Viking training camp?
No,
that too, and the show too as well.
There's 5 attractions. Go ahead, talk about the training. This is massive.
I know, it's huge. The training camp is a very welcomed experience, I think, is having like little kids, because sometimes they can't ride the rides and we're sitting and just waiting and waiting and waiting. So training camp is a junior Viking type camp. Discover all types of dragons as they climb, slide, explore, all the way through the interactive adventure camp. And it reminds me of over near the Jurassic Park ride at Islands of Adventure, that play area over there. I don't know if y'all have ever been back there.
See, I was going to say it reminds me of Redwood Creek Challenge Trail in Disneyland, because it looks massive and places to climb. And
it's very much
like that.
And I like that it's one entrance in, one entrance out, so you can let the kids kind of run wild. And there's multiple levels to it, but it definitely, looking at the rendering, reminds me of the Camp Jurassic over at Islands of Adventure. Yeah, over there by the Pterodon Flyers. Yeah. My kids get lost back in there and all of that stuff. There's so much for them to do: slides, ropes, things.
Kind of like the dig also over at Animal Kingdom.
But I feel like it's bigger. It's bigger and it's multiple layers, which is different than the dig site over.
That's fair.
I think it's good. I think it's a good spot, but since they redid that whole DreamWorks area, I just explored that when I was there last week, the new area, and it looks totally different back there with trolls. But they took away that one little play area that was Feifel.
They did. They had to get the extra little coaster, or not the coaster,
but the Shrek house.
The Shrek, that's what it is. Yeah.
So that whole Feifel area is gone, and then the Curious George was really interactive because it had like the ball shooter thing and all of that, and all of that's gone. So there's not a lot of like play area.
The play places were gone, but they did replace them with more attraction based stuff.
They
did, fair.
but if you have kids that don't like attractions, it's, okay. And then the show, there's going to be a live show featuring all your favorite characters from the movie. It's going to be, I'm curious because I've seen a little bit of footage from the Universal Beijing.
This one looks awesome.
Yeah. And I don't know how similar it's going to be to that one or not, but I'm really excited about this show. And I don't know. I know there's been some visuals from like a drone's dragon that's kind of flying around the land. I don't know if that's part of the show or if that's completely separate from the show.
Right.
But it's going to be pretty cool if they can get that dragon, like a dragon flying around.
I do feel as a whole that Universal's kind of lacking in terms of shows, like really good quality shows.
Yes.
Like the Bourne Stuntacular is amazing.
Right.
The horror makeup show is quality, but
I love that.
It's fun.
I mean, quality meaning there's not many other options.
Yeah.
So
right. Well, they used to have the Fear Factor show years ago.
Yeah, I
the
remember
Fear Factor
that
show
one.
was cool. Make you want to gag. And then there's not a lot of shows over at Islands except for a couple like the singers and then the frog thing over at
the frog choir.
Frog choir. Thank you. But that's really kind of it.
They did have one if you in Universal and you're coming down, going toward ET, that big like the animal. They did like an animal show. I don't know if they're still doing that right there. Straight.
Oh yeah, they did have an animal like the pets one, right?
I don't know if they're still doing it anymore.
That one was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when they redid all of that DreamWorks area, that space is still there. But I don't know if they're using it for something else or if they're still running the show. Maybe it's seasonal. But lacking shows for sure. So I'm really excited about this one.
This would be a great
pictures
addition.
of it looks like it has smokes and fire and
the artwork looks phenomenal, and the artwork definitely looks like the stuff I've seen from the Beijing. Thank you.
Yeah,
the Beijing show, and I think since they've got that a 27-foot wingspan wonder flies over the crowd. So a massive dragon will be flying over the crowd in the show. I think it's going to be great.
I think that's what people have been seeing because there's been some footage from people's hotel rooms that overlook that general area. And they've, leaked some footage. And there is like a big giant dragon. So I guess they've been testing it and working with it. But that's pretty spectacular if they can pull it off.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, so in a restaurant too. I'm sorry.
Oh, in a restaurant. Which
meet and greet. Meet and greet. Of course, you can meet Toothless. I mean, that's a given. And then they have a restaurant called Mead Hall. It's going to be a massive hall, which it has to be because this land is so big. Larger than life space and the village's main gathering place. A grand chamber hewn from mountain rock. Giant grand chandelier. So it's going to be like a Viking theme still continuing over there. It says unique beers. I don't know. It says casual as well. So I don't know if it's going to be like a buffet or if it's going to be a menu. I doubt it will be a buffet. It looks more like a table service type thing, but casual leads me to believe it's a counter service.
Yeah. I would think so. Very cool. All right, let's move on. I mean, I say very cool like I'm just like moving on, but I am very impressed with the size that this is going to be.
Yeah.
But we will move on to the last announced park or land within the park, and that is going to be the
most exciting, right?
Most exciting.
The Wizarding World of Harry Potter Ministry.
Well, it
includes Ministry of Magic.
Of Harry Potter.
I don't know.
Yeah, what are we calling the land? Ministry of Magic, or is that the ride?
Ministry of Magic is probably the land.
It seems like they're calling it Ministry of Magic.
Okay, because I know the ride is called Battle at the Ministry, so maybe the whole thing is Ministry of Magic.
Right.
All right, so we'll all kind of tag team this. I think that Universal really, really, really wanted to be able to take advantage of the Fantastic Beast films. The Fantastic Beast films have not taken off and soared like the original films did for obvious reasons, for many reasons. People were less excited about them. So they were well into the development of this area, developing the Wizarding Paris in the night, kind of, from the second Fantastic Beast movies, I think. And it looks beautiful. The words they're using is the most realistic, the highest, like that are the tallest buildings. Like these buildings are taller than any other buildings in any theme park. They're like the size. They're not using forced perspective. They're the size of actual Parisian buildings. So it's supposed to feel very immersive, as if Harry Potter stuff isn't already immersive. Right. But you walk in and you're all of a sudden going to be in an area, and the first thing you're going to see is the Cirque Arcanus. And I don't understand what's happening in the Cirque Arcanus. What do you know what that is? Is it a show? Have you guys seen this? This looks just like in the movies when you see it. I just wasn't sure what. Isn't this when we first meet the
live
snake?
Performers.
Yeah.
So
it looks like a stage show, because people are standing around in the renderings here.
It's like a circus show.
Yeah, spectacular mix of live performers, amazing puppetry, dazzling special effects, and more.
Oh, so they're going to have all the Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, it's going to have a circus vibe for sure.
But with beasts.
Yes. So it says Ringmaster has stolen Newt Scandamir's suitcase, which contains fantastic beasts from around the globe. Yeah,
Scamander.
good on you. Yeah.
We'll let it slide.
Good on you. Good on you. I'm excited to see what they do with puppetry and all that stuff to make these like fantastic beasts come
Puppetry
alive.
makes me very nervous.
Does it?
Yeah.
It's not easy being green, Sean.
I thought you were a big Muppets fan.
Yeah, hokey, exactly.
Yeah. We'll see.
Anyway.
I think we'll see.
Okay. Well,
I do like the.
Sean's not excited about the Arcanus.
They're going to do a great job of making it fully immersive. We know that. Like that is what the other Harry Potter lands are, what they're known for, what everybody loves about them. I've got no questions that they're going to continue with that fully immersive feel. Like John said, actual size buildings. I mean, that's crazy to think. Yeah. No forced perspective.
Right. That's really great.
That's really great. I think it's phenomenal.
They had to tie in the older movies with this.
Well, they didn't have to. They chose to.
They needed to.
They needed to. That's probably the fair thing. And the way that they achieve this is that you're going to, in order to go on the ride, you have to go through like one of those like green flumes. You remember the flumes for how to get to the Ministry of Magic? And what movie is that? Maybe the 6th movie?
It's earlier on.
Is it?
Yeah, isn't it?
I thought it was. Maybe it's the 5th movie. It's not Goblet. It's after Goblet of Fire.
He goes to Diagon Alley initially with the flute powder, right? Is that what you're talking about?
No, when they go to Ministry of Magic, when he first faced off with it's Dumbledore, and what is his name, Voldemort, where they have the big battle at the end of it between Voldemort and Dumbledore. You don't remember that?
Sounds like I need to rewatch this movie.
All the he breaks all the glass and puts it towards him, and then Dumbledore turns it all into like butterflies or pieces of paper, right?
Yeah.
That one they do the flumes, like the Anyway, it's that look. That is the design of this, and with apparently this flume network not only brings you to different places, so it's going to be taking you from Paris. It's going to also travel you in time to 1990s London, where now you're in the Ministry of Magic. And which is actually the time that the original Harry Potter books take place. It was actually in the 90s, even though the movies came out a little bit later in the 2000s. So this ride looks interesting, and we're going to be going on a magical lift as we help Harry, Ron, and Hermione stop Dolores Umbridge in what they're calling Harry Potter and the Battle of Ministry. My question mark, have you guys heard much about this? Is like, are they getting the actors to reprise their roles? Are they using AI? Like, what are they doing?
I don't know.
CG?
I have not heard much about this at all. I mean, this is all, I feel like they've been so tight-lipped about this.
This is the newest one. And what have they just released a video? Is that all that they've shown us?
There's very little about this ride. It looks like you're traveling in elevator. But the elevator, if they don't show you, is like an oversized version of, I guess it's probably the same size. It's like as if they built an elevator around the Spider-Man ride. It's going to be utilizing the exact same system, except it's going to be able to feel like you're flying 10 feet in the air because they're putting like a little lift on it instead.
Yeah.
So to simulate that, and you're going to be going around. It'll be interesting. It's definitely recycling old tech. Hopefully they don't rely heavily on screens like they have everywhere else in the past. I don't think this is what I'm most excited about as far as this ride. And honestly, the Fantastic Beasts, I'm probably not as excited. I don't know. I'm definitely more excited about the stuff they're doing with the what is it? In the Darkmoor, in the Dark Universe stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're keeping it tight-lipped for a reason. They obviously can see the bigger picture that we can't see. So I think as you know, we get closer, I think we may change our opinions on that once we kind of see. I think it's going to be off the chart. And so
I think this is going to be one that you need to experience it before you cast judgment.
Right.
Because
and they may know that.
There's a lot that goes into it.
Fair. That's fair.
These 11 movies.
Yeah.
Is that right?
A lot.
It's a lot. And it'll be interesting to see how they do it. I just think, they really wanted to do something with Fantastic Beasts, and then and they were well into the development of this land. And then the last Fantastic Beast movie did not do well, and they've not really announced plans for more Fantastic Beast movies. So they decided to rely on the original IP for the ride itself.
Mhm.
And it's cool because
Yeah,
this is supposed to be
for that.
taking place after the events of Harry Potter. Dolores Umbridge is on trial and she's trying to escape the Ministry of Magic. And we're there to stop her.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be interesting. I love the actress who plays Dolores Umbridge, and I'm sure she's back.
So good.
You know,
She's a great villain.
She I absolutely hate her in that, but then she was phenomenal in The Crown. So there's that too.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
I love
Anyway,
actress.
I'm very excited. This land is also large and immersive. It's 11, almost 12 acres, where How to Train a Dragon is 13.65 acres.
So they're pretty similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a large area, and there is an expansion pad of like 3.25 acres in the back to add another Harry Potter attraction back there.
Yeah, I
Maybe
just
they'll
don't
bring the
know that you
Hogwarts
can.
Express over there somehow.
Yeah,
They
okay.
won't. There's no way.
There's
I
like a
just don't think-
45-minute ride over there in that
There's
slow
so
moving
much
train.
stuff.
Like bring in the
and-
night bus or do something fun to
Oh, yeah,
transport
the
you
night
from
That would be
one park to
fun.
the other.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
I think that it's going to be hard to do all of this in one day, if I'm being honest. I think you're going to need multiple days, which leads
we
into
need
the
to-
ticket structure.
Let's
need to talk
talk
about
about
that
these tickets.
Real quick.
Well,
Yeah.
before we do that, before we talk about that, you just said we need to. So there's 5 attractions in How to Train a Dragon. There's 3 attractions in Super Nintendo, 2 attractions in Universal's. So that's 10 attractions already right there in Dark Universe, and then Harry Potter is going to have, if you include the show, 2 attractions. So that puts us. I
And
lost count.
Celestial Park.
And
You
then,
didn't
and then
even add those.
the 2 attractions in Celestial Park. There's like almost 15 attractions.
I know.
To do
And so
here.
I don't think one
And
day is going to do it.
Tons of acreage too. So imagine all that walking
Yeah.
and
Walking,
experiencing.
yes.
Yes.
You
So
definitely
So
can't
how are
park
they? How are
hop.
they working tickets? How are they
So
working tickets?
I just can't wait. I'm going to go and buy my 3-day or my 4-day park hopper and go
Spend them
to
all
Epic
in
Universe as
Epic.
I want, right? Oh wait. But I can't.
Can't.
Sean, how are they doing this, man?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you, with a vacation package, you can get whatever length of stay, but you are only given 1 day in Epic Universe. Is that correct?
I've heard it's an add-on day, is it not?
It's an extra day.
It's an extra day. It's a ticket.
So do you
add-on.
pay for an add-on? So you buy like a 3-park to park ticket like we normally would with Volcano Bay, and then you pay for an extra day at Epic Universe?
Yeah.
I think that is what we've been told. What I think people are going to do is they're going to do a split stay. They're going to do multiple vacation packages. That's the workaround. There's always a workaround.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah, but
depends
then
on what
put
the price point is.
But I was about to say, like, think about that.
And then you gotta buy
Universal on those
Express.
short day tickets, like the 1-day ticket is almost $200. The 1-day park to park ticket at Universal is almost $200. It makes like
That's
they
why
really
when you
do
go to 2 or
everything
3 day tickets.
right. It makes way better sense to do 2 or 3-day tickets. So you're doing a 3-day ticket, and you want to add on, and it just gets really expensive for that add-on.
Yeah.
I've got an annual pass, and I'm curious to see how they work this into the annual pass structure. And it may be more cost effective to do an annual pass if you're planning on going more than once a year. You have to do the math and count the days.
Not include Epic Universe in some of the annual passes.
They may not, but there are different structures, so it'll depend on that. But yeah, then you have to add, if you're not staying at Express Hotel and you want Express, or is the Express Pass from the 3 premier resorts going to work over?
I expect it to.
Are they going to say it's a completely separate Express Pass like Volcano Bay? Because Volcano Bay has its own separate Express Pass.
Still some unknowns out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in 2026, we'll talk about how it all went down in 25.
We'll recap it.
I know.
Yeah.
I look at this and I think, okay, this place has so much potential,
Yeah.
but am I going to be able to get in? is my other question.
Not straight away. And that's another reason why I'm keeping my annual
Yeah.
pass in case they do an annual pass preview. I'm going to be there for it.
I look at this and I think,
would
and
love
then
if
there's
you could
all
do
this
that.
talk about closing off lands. For
private
private
events.
events, they cannot be doing that initially, especially if they're
No,
not going to
they
have one of the
wouldn't.
lands open.
They wouldn't.
Like you
do
can't.
that.
Yeah.
Oh man,
That would be
that seems like such a
big-
bad idea.
As
I think
Dana
it would
says, that's a
be
kick in the teeth for people who had tickets that day.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. How much money did I just spend, and now I don't get to go to Dark Universe?
I know. Yeah, no, but I think they'll probably do it in the evening, kind of the structure of Halloween Horror Nights, and the way they do Gradventure and the way
Still
they
don't like
do all of those things. They run them in the evening after the park has closed, or they start at 4 or 5 o'clock and
I
they close it
can't
then.
see them closing down any portion of this park in at least the first year.
No.
I don't think it
They
makes
better
any sense.
not.
That's a later on thing.
Well, and I look
Yeah.
at this, the more we talk about this, I don't think any land is skippable.
No.
Like there's
No.
nothing skippable,
No.
because like at first like, okay, I don't care about How to Train Your Dragon, but there are some cool rides over there. I
rides,
want to,
yeah.
and that show I really want to see.
Yeah.
Like,
So who cares if you really know the IP all that well? I don't think any of us really do. I've
Right.
seen maybe the first movie with my daughter when she was real young. But I mean, that's not stuff we grew up on. But I don't care as long as it's an immersive land and fun rides.
And it looks cool, and it's
great.
I'm here for it.
Yeah,
I think the stuff is cool enough that it's going to pull people in all directions, which will be good.
Yeah.
You know, you really want to spread out the crowds, because there's going to be a ton of people who want to get back to see Dark Universe. There's going to be a ton of people who want to see Super Nintendo World, and a ton of people that are wanting to do Wizarding World stuff that maybe none of those people care about How to Train Your Dragon at the beginning of their day, but I promise you by the end of the day, they want to check it out.
I know.
If
my
they
kids
have
and my
time.
in-laws love those movies.
If it's not closed for a private event.
So they will be at How to Train Your Dragon. My in-laws, kids, they love them. So maybe it will, create a love for that movie. Maybe I'll go back and watch them after experiencing it. Maybe.
Yeah.
You never know. Maybe it'll draw me in.
I mean, they went all in How to Train Your Dragon.
I think it's because
did.
it's kind.
They
It may
really
not be
did.
one of the most popular areas, and so like we got to knock it out of the park to
Juice
bring
it up.
people over
But
here. Yeah.
That's fair.
What has Universal needed more than anything else? Something that draws that younger crowd.
That's
So
true. That is a
could be
huge
a
family
fair
land.
answer.
Yeah.
Well, between
'Cause my-
Nintendo and How to Train Your Dragon,
Yeah.
those two front areas are going to be
Huge.
swarmed with kids.
Right. Because even
I
though
think
it's not an
across the
area.
board,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dana.
Megan. No, go ahead.
I was going to say across the board, with the exception of Dark Universe, they've really added in rides that younger kids can enjoy.
Exactly, which was
Yeah.
lacking in some of the other parks. And they knew that. They were like, we're not trying to compete with down the street. We are for, little slightly older kids.
And once the Mario movie came out, it connects this new generation to people our age.
Right.
Because we grew up with these video games. We have
Right.
that nostalgic love of Mario, and then they just brought a new generation. So like people like us can go into those Super Nintendo worlds and have that connection with our kids doing the exact same thing. I just love the concept of it all. I
Yeah.
think they're really smart with how they've done that.
Yeah. And then my kids grew up watching How to Train Your Dragon. So, I mean, like they'll enjoy that aspect. So I like it. I think it's something for everyone. And then some of the like our age liking Dark Universe. I feel like they have something for every generation.
I genuinely want to go. Like every bit of this looks awesome to me.
Yeah.
That being said, there are still a lot of question marks about how we execute it. And I think they're even still grappling with how do we navigate the crowds, because people have been postponing their trips,
Yeah.
for this,
Big time.
Saving up.
So something to think about.
And check out the new. They just released a new promotion. We're not going to go into that, but a new promotion to entice people to come in 2024. I know why
huge
they did it.
dining card offer.
Yeah.
So
Check it out.
It
Hit up
actually
one of
is for
us.
travel all the way through April 10th of next year. So they're trying to
Yeah.
get people all
April
the way
10th.
up until
Ooh, that's
April
an
10th. What did it
interesting
tell
cutoff.
you? That's right. Ooh, because Easter is the end of April next year. So
And we're talking
something to think about.
Through the
up to
spring break.
$1,000 gift card.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're not going into it, but up to $1,000.
We're not going to go into it, but just so you
But-
know, if you want to go spring break next year, all the way through April.
Yeah,
up
our
to
spring break is first week of
$1,000.
April for sure.
Yeah.
I want to end this episode on one
we gotta
cool
wrap
little
this up.
thing. I know y'all have been with us for an hour, but if you hung in here, you get blessed with this little piece of information, because some people this may have just gone right past them. So you know how we have Ollivanders over at the Wizarding World, the other two parks right now? You have Ollivanders at Diagon Alley, and then the other location over at
Hogsmeade.
Hogsmeade. I almost said Hogwarts. Over at Hogsmeade. Well, there, of course, it's, he can't be everywhere, that Ollivander fellow. So we're going to be going to Cosme Accords. You want to hear what they call in France their magic wands?
What?
Baguettes magiques.
Oh, I love it.
Baguette. They're calling.
I love it.
We'll leave it with that.
I love it.
Exactly. If you stuck around this whole time, you get that little bit of tidbit. If you ever want to know how to pronounce in French
Magic wand.
a magic wand, it's baguettes magiques. I don't know if that's the real word or if that's how it is in the Harry Potter Wizarding World universe, but I couldn't think of something more fun. So that being said, we will wrap up this episode of the Where We Roam podcast. If you enjoyed this episode or any other episode, we would really appreciate a like and subscribe so other people can find the show. Also, if you feel so inclined to give us a 5-star review. I mean, you listened to us for 50 minutes. I mean you must have liked it a little bit to stick
Too
around
long.
this long,
Yeah.
right? Maybe over 50 minutes, over an hour now. Please, a 5-star review would be wonderful. And lastly, we want to know what you think about the Wizarding World. And if you want to hit us up over on Facebook by doing a search for the Where We Roam podcast in the app, you can go ahead and tell us your thoughts on Epic Universe, what you're most excited about, what you think is lame, what you think is cool, what you're worried about, what you're excited about. We want to hear it. Controversial opinions, always welcome. That being said, we're going to go ahead and leave you here, and we will talk to you real soon. Baguette magique. Sorry.